We have an image problem here. What do I mean by that? Well, society has an image problem. And you don't see animals scoffing over each other's looks. But animals in the animal kingdom do make themselves look presentable and respectable in order to attract a mate. Peacocks show their feathers, and in fact we've used that term for what they call when teenagers dress all flashy, to attract the opposite sex. They call that peacocking. And it's, showing your feathers, showing your colors. So when I say we have an image problem, I try not to take it to the extreme that people shouldn't worry about what they look like or care about how others view them, because obviously that's an issue that we all are concerned about. So in other words, when you're having a discussion with someone and they say something like, oh, you're too worried about, the way people see you, it's not always a case of how people see you. It's a case of wanting to make your point heard and understood, but it's not about image. It's not about ego. It's often about trying to convey a message to someone else. But it does turn into ego. And what happens is, I think, when a person has been beaten down, metaphorically, for his ideas or the way they look, they tend to become very, not just dismissive of others, but they become very aggressive and hostile towards people around them. Those who have had major life events when they were young or through their lives, or those who maybe just were raised in an environment without love, without real love. And those who have serious, let's say, physical flaws that people had picked on in school or whatnot. And these are all issues that concern us, because we want to be seen as equal to each other. So anyway, when I was considering how these image issues affect people's aggression, because people get very angry when they are not noticed, when they feel like they're not recognized, or when they feel like others look down on them. A good example is Kanye West. I absolutely hate the news. I can't stand, I don't watch the news, because if I do, the headline's always bound to be something dumb. And, on Comcast this morning, my wife was she's like, you're not going to believe this crap. Kanye had a concert. We've all heard the Kanye stories. Honestly, I've never even heard a single one of the guy's songs. The guy's a total douchebag as far as I'm concerned. I went to Bonnaroo about 5 years ago, and people had spray painted Kanye sucks all over the place, because I guess he wouldn't play the show, because he has an ego problem, an image problem, where he is very concerned about the way that people view him. So anyway, the other night he had a concert, and he told everybody in the audience to stand up. And 2 people didn't stand up. And he refused to start the show until they stood up, so I guess one guy held up his prosthetic leg, and the other guy was in a wheelchair. And so Kanye sends his bodyguards down there to check and make sure that the guy's really crippled and he can't stand up before he'll start the show. Now, these are the kinds of little stories that are complete distractions in the media to us. So the story itself, I'm not telling as if it matters. I'm giving an example of how ego can make a person so paranoid about how they're viewed by others that they would actually, basically demanding people stand up for you. And there are YouTubers who have the exact same approach to their YouTube channels, where if everybody doesn't stand up and cheer for their discoveries or what they believe is true, then they get the middle finger, basically. And these types of people are everywhere. And I was thinking about why I don't have aggression. Why am I not an angry person? And why are some other people so angry? And I think it's just something that we have to work on in our minds. It's just like, work. For me, anger is an issue that I don't try to I don't try to bypass it or pretend like it doesn't exist. If something makes me angry, I process the anger and it comes in and out in like a flowing motion. In other words, I never hang on to things. I feel like I'm just maybe walking through the anger issues, and as I pass by them, they fade. And this is kind of like depression. Like, you can't deny your depression and sadness if something bad happens and pretend that you're happy. The depression is a way of coping, like grieving over someone you lost, let's say. But anyway, it all comes down to how others view us and how we think that we're interpreted quite often, because people act out against others because they feel like they're not being noticed. For me, I do care what people think. My friends, my family, I don't care what somebody I don't know thinks of me, but I do, to the extent of, I don't want to disrespect a person I don't know, and I'm not going to put them down just because they're someone that I've never met. But I don't expect anything from them. But we demand respect from our peers and our family and our friends, because if we don't demand respect, I don't mean demand like you shall give me respect. I mean we expect to get respect from those around us, and if we don't, then we start to wonder, what are we doing wrong? At least I do. And my approach has been to, when one person says something to me like, you're this way, or you're this way, I never let it affect me in a personal sense. If multiple people begin telling me something like, you do this or you do that, then I start to analyze and ask myself, what is it? Maybe they're right. Maybe there's something I need to work on. In other words, my image isn't so set in stone that I'm afraid to change it, because I know I have issues. I know I have problems in life. I know that I'm annoying to some people. I know that I talk a lot. These are just things about me. It's just who I am. And I acknowledge them and embrace them. And I was thinking the other day about making videos. How people just like to talk. And I like to talk, anyway. And I thought, God, is it a waste of time? Why do I even do this? What's the reasoning behind it? And I ask myself. It's because I like to talk. I like to converse. I like to share. I like to exchange ideas. But it's an art form for me. And I don't want to go as far as to say that making videos is an art. But let me lay it out a different way. There are a lot of people out there who want to be artists, who don't think that they can be, or maybe they really want to express themselves in a particular way. Some people do it through painting, some through drawing, and some do it through talking. It's an art form in itself, expressing yourself to others, and it's just a way of getting out that emotion. Most of the subjects I talk about in my videos, and once they're gone, I move on to the next thing. In other words, I can't continue talking about the same subjects every day. I lose total interest. So my idea of image, of what's important as far as image and ego, and my point for making this video is to say we don't have to abandon trying to look presentable, but we don't have to try to gain so much attention that we pretend like we're something we're not, because we always get called out on it if we do. Like when a person pretends. A good example is my mom told me that she was in a group of people one time, and some guy asked her, well, what do you do? And she says, oh, I'm a philosopher. And she was young then. She said she just did it because she wanted to fit in. Then he said, oh, what kind of philosophy? She says, oh, my own. Just kind of like lead yourself into these little troubles by, the image that we're trying to present that maybe isn't really us. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Nobody can crumble your own, almost out of time. Nobody can crumble your own image except for yourself. And we owe it to ourselves to respect ourselves. That's all we got.